It's Tuesday, and for those who don't know what we do on Tuesdays, let me remind you, it's another edition of the 2-2 podcast. Listen, I'm so glad you could join me on this first day of fall. I'm so excited about what the fall is going to bring. Listen, today's episode is going to be like no other. I'm so excited about the opportunity to do this. So with that being said, let's take a seat. Gather your family, gather your friends. Let's have a little fun. See you in a minute. Have you ever wanted to record a podcast but didn't know the way? Well, I've got good news. Let me tell you about something. It's called Anchor. And Anchor is the easiest way to record a podcast. Let me explain. It's absolutely free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. And it's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So here's what I need you to do. Please download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor FM to get started. Late one night several years ago, I wrote a letter. And this letter was not to a future me years from then. It was a letter to my future wife. I wrote it because at the time I was in a period, in a process of growing and maturing. I wasn't exactly there, but that was around the time that I started acknowledging that I needed to grow and that I needed to mature in order to become a great husband and a great father in the future. And it was also stemmed and propelled from sitting in a men's meeting at a church. I was sitting in a men's Bible study, and a young bishop in training, had to be in his late 30s at the time. He asked the older bishops about marriage. And one of my preaching heroes said this to him. He said, "The best advice that I could give you is to be a whole man before you marry her." And that really ignited a lot in me to really want to change and to grow and to work on those things within me that would be detrimental to a healthy marriage. I didn't see a lot of healthy marriages. I saw a lot of marriages that were, in fact, they looked good on the surface. And this is no indictment or no shade to anybody in my family that has been married. But we saw a lot of marriages that were great on the surface, great in front of people, great in front of strangers, but behind closed doors, you can't. And eventually later on, you found out that it wasn't as all great as it should have been, and somebody was, unfaithful, or somebody just grew tired of the next person, or irreconcilable differences. Not to say marriage is perfect, because it's, under no circumstances have I ever been married, nor have I ever been close to being married. I'm yet to have a stable relationship. That would be great. In fact, I am single and, working on some things, but not to say marriage is perfect, but, you want to be honest at all times. I want to be honest at all times, but and I didn't always get a chance to see that. I saw a lot of marriages last 20, 30 plus years. But even then, at a certain point, there was a point where I saw them get tired of each other, or become demeaning to one another, or I got to see what the marriage was truly built on, and how certain people didn't have a say, or certain people didn't make decisions on certain things, and I didn't want that to be my situation. I didn't want that to be how my marriage looked. So one night I wrote this letter, and throughout the past few years I've retooled it, I've recalibrated it, and now I want to take the chance just for a little bit to share it with you. And within this letter are the 10 things that I want her to know. 10 things that I need her to know. And the 10 things that, that I've had, that are my vows, that I've had problems with. And so, with that being said, let's get to it. Dear future wife, I'm so glad to be taking this journey with you. I've waited for this moment to come when we finally can say I do. But before we do, I want you to know a few things about myself. First things first, I want you to know that I pray for you every single day and night, that you are growing and flourishing daily, that you are happy and healthy, and that you are living your purpose. Life hasn't always been easy for me. There's so much I've had to battle in order to get to this point. But God has brought me from a mighty long way, and I'm grateful for that. At times, I'll be honest, at times, I never thought I'd be here or that I'd be enough for you. But I trusted the process of growth and a changed mindset. And here I am, a man that was once shattered, was once damaged, which was once sad and distraught, angry, frustrated. But now I can say, I'm healed, but I'm still healing. I was always taught to underpromise and overdeliver. But today, I want to make this vow to do my best with the following. I promise to lead while being led. And I promise that we will lead together. One of the biggest issues with that was I've always, and this is not part of what I'm getting ready to say, it's not a part of the letter. I'm going to break down every piece of this, these 10 things, because I've had an issue with all of these. Really. The first one, I promised to lead while being led, and that we will lead together. That was an issue I've always had, where I always had to lead everything. I always had to be the center of attention. It always had to be me, me, me. I was selfish. I promised to fight for you and fight next to you. I'm not going to fight you. I'm not going to fight against you. I promise to hold myself accountable, and I refuse to get offended when you hold me accountable. And I pray that we hold each other accountable at the same time. One of the biggest issues I've had was getting offended when somebody held me accountable. Not on the, not on, and it was always, they hate me. I always thought somebody hated me when they held me accountable. And it took me a long time to really figure out that accountability wasn't destructive. It was actually to help you build and mature and grow. And I didn't always hold myself accountable. Didn't always hold myself accountable. I had to learn about the value of self-accountability as well. Because it's one thing when one person, it's one thing when somebody else is holding you accountable. But if you don't hold yourself accountable, there's a disconnect. You'll never be able to value when somebody else holds you accountable. I promise to never say anything harmful or demeaning to you. I've seen that a lot, man. I've seen a lot of bad marriages. I've seen a lot of marriages where this is what has happened, and I don't ever want to do that. Don't ever want to do that. I won't say harmful word to you. I promise to never make you feel less than. You'll never be subservient when it comes to me. You'll never have to deal with the pain of being subservient. You have your own mind. Think with it. Use it. If there is something that you don't like and you don't agree with, let me know. You will have a say in this house. You will have a say in this marriage. You will have a say. You will make decisions that don't involve just cooking and changing diapers. You will make the decisions. You will make the decisions that you want to make, not the ones that I tell you to make. You will make decisions. Because when it all comes down to it, we're in this together. And I will not deal with a one-sided marriage where I make all the rules and I say all the things. No, I will not. I promise to never grow tired of you or switch up on you when something changes. And you know what I mean by when something changes. If your hair goes, it's just like Music Soul Child said. I love you till your hair turns gray. Will I still love you? Will I still want you if you gain a little weight? Absolutely. I don't care if you gain weight. I still want you. If you lose weight, I still want you. If you got gray hair, purple hair, green hair, yellow hair, no hair. Nothing's going to change. Only thing that's going to change is I'm going to love you even more regardless. On those days when you don't feel like you love yourself, I'm going to love you even harder. I promise to make you laugh and smile even on those stormy days. That is my goal. To be able to know when you are in pain and when you are hurting and when you're not feeling like yourself, to do whatever I can to make you happy. To make sure you're comfortable. To cheer you up. To make sure you're prayed up and prayed for and covered and covered. That you're healing properly. It's my goal. I promise to be honest with you and share my emotions. That's an issue that I always had, was as a man, I didn't always share my emotions and I didn't always share how I felt. And I had to learn daily how to share how I felt night in and night out. To be transparent, to be real with how I feel. And I promise to be that with you at all times, to be real with how I feel. I promise to be spontaneous and surprise you in every way. I promise that. I have no, I just want to be, I want you to be surprised at something when something happens. When I do something, or I don't want you to, I want to always keep you guessing in a good way. Not the, keep you guessing in a bad way. I want to keep you guessing in a good way. I want to be able to call you and tell you, pack your bags. We're going on a trip. I want to be able to tell you to, hey, wear something nice. We're going to dinner tonight. We're going out. We're going to have some fun. Or wear something comfortable. We're going to get on roller coasters and eat stuff we know we too old to be eating. Wear something nice. We're going to a concert tonight. I want to be able to be spontaneous. Surprise you. I want every night to be magical. That's the thing. I want every day and every night, every morning, every evening, I want it to be magical. I promise to love you with everything I have. Forever. Not just when I feel like it. Not just when I'm happy. Not just when you're not yelling. Not when you're not mad at me. I promise to love you at all times. In the good times, in the bad, in the happy, and the sad. When you're pissed off because I didn't put the toilet seat down. I want you to know that I love you. And I want you to know that I'm going to try to make you melt, make you smile, make you just cry tears of joy every day. I'm going to love you like you've never been loved before. I had to learn how to love. I had to learn how to love. And I mean love properly. Love unconditionally. Love without wavering. And the first person I had to love unconditionally was myself. Because if I wasn't able to love myself, I wouldn't be able to love you properly. And finally, I promise to listen. As I said before, you will have a say. When you're not feeling your greatest, you can vent to me. You can always come to me. You can cry on my shoulder. You can cry. You just come and cry if you need to. Scream if you have to. If you need some time to take a walk. I'm there to listen. If you need somebody to talk to, you don't need to talk to. You can talk to whoever you feel safe to talk to, but always know that you have a safe space with me to talk about how you feel, talk about your day, talk about something that bothers you, talk about something that you are inspired by, talk about something that you are inspired and encouraged by, and something that you want to do. I promise to listen first and speak second. I don't always have to have an opinion, but I do want to be willing to listen clearly and attentively to what you have to say. So now that we're here, and we're finally ready to spend our lives together, let's do something. Let's celebrate the small victories. Let's make it last forever. Let's live and grow, nurture and cultivate. And by nurture and cultivating, living and growing and maturing and nurturing and cultivating our gifts and God's purpose for our lives, and creating a lasting legacy for our children and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren and them and the great-greats and all of that beyond. We're going to do this together. We're going to be solid as a rock. We're going to be each other's anchor. We're going to be each other's safe space. We're going to be each other's accountability partners. We're going to be each other's everything. And we're going to lead together while God leads us. And we're going to do it through prayer, through worship, through our work, through our witness, through our example. I promise you that. Let's do this thing. Here's to 100 years. I love you. Your future husband. That, y'all, was my letter to my future wife. And I tell you what, that's an emotional thing. That was emotional reading. Because when you really think about it, in a lot of cases, we don't always write these type of letters. We don't always write these type of letters. We don't always share how we feel. We don't always share our feelings toward our significant others. We don't. We never do. I mean, we do eventually, but I want her to know ahead of time how I feel about her, that she's the most amazing and wonderful, talented, special, grace-filled, authentic, any other words to describe her that are synonymous with her being as amazing as she is. I want her to know that every day, and I will show that every day. And that's why I wrote this letter. And that's why anytime something new happens, I revise it. Anytime something happens in my life, I revise it. And that's because I wanted to know what I've been through. And I wanted to know what life has been like. And we'll get into it more once her and I get married, start getting to know each other. We'll get into just how we grew up and just how life was for one another. What we've come out of. I haven't had an emotional episode since I did It Makes Me Feel Good. Because I never thought I would release this letter. But here we are. Here we are. Thanks, y'all, for dealing with me right now for a little bit. I really appreciate you. Thank you. I hope she's listening. I hope she hears it. Hope she's somewhere out there and she hears this and she understands. I'm a work in progress, but I've made it a mighty long way. I hope she's working as well. So with that being said, let me get out of my feelings. Let me get out of my emotions and let you know we're back at it on Thursday. And you do not want to miss Thursday. And you know what we do on Thursday. That's outwork you. We're going to have a little fun. We're going to do this thing. It's going to be amazing. I am excited about what's going to be talked about on Thursday afternoon. You do not want to miss a moment of it right here on Anchor, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Same time, 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central. Listen, follow me on both my personal pages on Twitter at Alex and Twitter and Instagram at AlexJ_live. That's AlexJ_live on Instagram, and on Twitter that is AlexJLive. AlexJ_live on Twitter. And then follow the show page at 22_podcast. That is 22_podcast. And on Twitter at 22podcast. The word 2, the number 2. Podcast, all one word. And don't forget, new merch on 22apparel.threadless.com. You don't want to miss a moment. You don't want, check it out. T-shirts, masks, whatever you like. And hopefully they allow us to have hats, because dag nabbit, I like hats. So with that being said, thank you for joining me on this special, emotional episode of the 22 Podcast. I'm so glad you could join me today. That being said, be blessed, y'all. We'll see you on Thursday.